Hello, my friends. So today we're going to talk about grief and sadness, mostly grief and mostly about the functionality of grief and how we as humans move through the stages of grief and different ways that we can help ourselves with that. So I've put together a few notes, and I like to get started right on time because this is a recorded thingamajig that I then post onto the Kara Yoga YouTube channel. Let me just start by saying that if you're going through any kind of loss in your life and, the stages of grief, hey Tommy, the stages of grief, of course, can range from, the loss of anything really in your life. So I think that you'll see that these stages that we talk about can really fit into many things in life that we lose. So this past week, we've had a couple of losses in our lives where I am. My great uncle passed away last week. He was 89. And, I think when we have any kind of loss like that in life, it brings a lot to the forefront in our own minds and what surrounds the thought of loss for each of us. The fear that we tend to have, and anxiety, depression. And, a lot of the fear is because we don't know. We don't know what happens next when we're talking about death. And some people believe in different things. They believe that there's, thank you, Tommy. They believe that that there's an afterlife. Some people believe that you're reborn again and you have many different lives. So there's a lot of different beliefs, and in my opinion, that's all surrounding this ultimate need to just feel better about it, because it is something that we are afraid of because we don't know what happens, right? One of my yoga teachers taught me Devarshi, Stephen Hartman, just to give him some props there, that the basis of all fear in life, the basis of every single fear, if you think about it, is dying, right? So I'm like getting right into this. I'm sorry. I don't mean to but if you think about any fears that you have, maybe you're afraid of a spider, or you're afraid of heights, or you're afraid of cats or dogs, or whatever it is, the basis of all of that is death, right? So it's an interesting thing to think about. And for me, the comfort is in all of this is that we're not alone, that we've all experienced loss in some way in our lives, and that's something that we're going to continue to experience. So why not talk about it and learn a little bit more about the stages of it and what we can do really to help ourselves. So I try and make these chats about a half an hour, and I always surprise myself because there's a lot that I like to go through. And then it ends up being, a little bit longer. So hang in there. There's 5 stages of grief that were created. It makes me laugh to think about who creates these things. But I am a psychology graduate from college. That was my degree. So these things have always been of interest to me. So the 5 main stages of grief you can follow this acronym, DABDA. denial, anger, depression, bargaining, depression, and then acceptance. So those are the basic 5 things. Okay, so with denial, we have avoidance, confusion, fear, numbness, blame. So those are kind of like the general things that come up with that. With anger, we have frustration, we have anxiety, irritation, embarrassment, shame. When we have bargaining, we're reaching out to others a little bit more. We have a desire to tell our story, but we also are struggling to find the meaning of why this loss occurred. You know, why did it have to happen? Maybe, you know, there was something that I could have done differently, or if I do this or that, maybe that person will come back, or this loss will come back in my life and no longer be a loss. And then eventually we get to the stage of acceptance, which is exploring new options and having a new plan in place. Now, from this basic 5 DABDA model, many other models have come off of it, and quite honestly, if you study this, I think you can make up your own model, or just, you know, maybe make an observance to what you go through with any loss in your life. And like I said, it could be anything. It doesn't have to just, you know, be a person. It could be a job. It could be, you know, you've graduated from a program and now really, you know, you've gained something, but there's a loss, right? Because you've had this community, you've had this thing that you've studied, right? And now it's gone kind of in the back, you know, in the past. So there's a lot of different areas of loss that we do experience in life. So that 5 model, the DABDA model, has evolved, and there's so many different, I shouldn't say so many different, but there's 4-stage model, 3-stage model, 5, 7, 9, and 12. Now the higher models, the 9 and the 12, seem to correlate more with, I believe, like broken families, that kind of thing. So if you've gone through a divorce, for example, the 9 and the 12 stage models might be something that you can relate to a little bit more. I hope I'm making a little sense. So the modified version of that DABDA, one of them, it's called the Kubler, I hope I'm pronouncing this right, Kubler-Ross model. So before denial is shock. Right? So if you've had a loss, right, there's an initial stage of shock. And to me, that makes sense, you know, because it just makes sense. I think a lot of the time when we have a loss in life, we don't, you know, I shouldn't say a lot of the time, but sometimes we don't know it's coming, right? We don't expect it. It's a sudden thing. So can be a stage of shock that comes with that. And then denial. So this is a 7 model: shock, denial, anger, bargaining, depression. Which I don't know if I said this before, but depression is really like when you're feeling overwhelmed, a lack of energy, helplessness, and then a testing, and then an acceptance. And then there's a 4-stage model. Now I got this off of a great website. I encourage you to go check it out. It's called livingobservance.com. And it's a blog, I guess. And it's Stages of Grief is the page that I went to here. And off of that, I got the 4 stages, which used to be called the 4 phases. Now this was designed by Dr. John Bowlby, MD, and Dr. Colin Murray Parks, MD, 1980. So we have shock and numbness. We have yearning and searching, right? We're yearning for the loss. We have anxiety of our life, right? We have anxiety about life without that thing that we lost or person that we lost. Then we have disorganization and despair, which is you're reflecting on that loss and the events that preceded that loss. So, what could I have done differently to change the outcome of that loss? And then feelings that perhaps that loss is still in your life. If it's a person, maybe when you're very drowsy, you think you see them or you can hear them in your life. And then the final stage of that, the 4th phase, is reorganization and recovery. So we build a new routine, right? Slowly build that for a life without that loss. And it's good knowing people who have been through losses to help us get through the losses that we're experiencing too, because we can see that they've been through it and you can see them on the other side of it. So that gives us some hope too, which is very good. And then grief is slowly replaced with positive things in life. And it doesn't mean that you're over the loss. It just means that you're moving into a different phase of it, a more positive for you phase. And that brings us to returning to a meaningful life. Maybe we feel more empowered, right? We feel more security as a result, higher self-esteem, and just feeling like life has meaning, returning to that sensation. There's a saying that somebody brought up to me this week in yoga, and I wrote it on our chalkboard in the classroom. And it's from a Vedic poem. And the poem is Salutation to the Dawn. And I'm sure that you've heard this already, but I'm going to just say the quote. For yesterday is but a dream, and tomorrow is only a vision. Right? We don't know what is going to come in our lives. We don't know what tomorrow brings. So what choices do we have besides living? I forgot to turn off my do not disturb. Or maybe I did. So then this brings me to the coping side of it all. All right, this is going to be a much shorter video than I expected. But chime in if you have any thoughts or anything on the subject, because I know that all of you have definitely experienced loss in your lives. So please chime in. Let me know if any of these things resonate with you in any way. And you can always leave comments later too. So this is a list of coping that I came up with just in my readings, from my readings and my life, what I have experienced. Talk about it, right? Talk about it, shout about it. If you have an area that you can shout about. Sometimes people, maybe you've lost somebody in your life and maybe you had stuff emotionally attached to that person that you never really got to have resolved. That's a whole nother topic. But my thought in that is, and I've done this where it's really helped me, is to have an out loud conversation with that person, as if they're still here with you. And for me personally, when I've done that, it has made me feel like I've had that conversation with them really. And because, I let it out of me, it helped me greatly to feel like I was heard. So that's really, in my opinion, that's what that technique does. And, if you need to get more emotion out of you, go to a place like your car or a beach or somewhere where you feel like you have the space that you need to really shout and be loud and talk out loud about what's going on with you, to really get it out of you. Give yourself that opportunity to release whatever it is that you're holding on to. And I think it's going to help a lot. That's my opinion. So talk about it. Shout about it if you can. Allow yourself to feel, right? How many people do we know in our lives that don't even let themselves cry? You know? Personally, for me, I can't not cry. Does that even make sense, that sentence? That's a very strange sentence. I can't avoid crying, you know, if I watch a movie that brings tears to my eyes, or where my emotion is invoked. So feel your feelings, you know, let yourself feel those feelings. You don't have to be strong for others. You know, you don't have to be strong for others. People think that they do. And also, crying and feeling your emotions is also showing great strength. Again, my opinion. But it does. It takes great strength, I feel, to feel your emotions and let other people see you feeling your emotions and going through it. And, you know, when ready, helping others is going to be something that is going to inevitably help you. You know, I'm not a trained expert. I'm not a therapist, so I'm not coming at you as that. These are just my life experiences that I'm talking to you about, or from that place. And I'm sure that you have some things that you could chime in with and share. I would love that. So, you know, when we help others, it helps us to sort of, it's that little shift that we need sometimes to come out of that place that we're in. You know, any little, it's like an electric shock, you know, making that little shift that we need to get out of that path that we're on. And I always find that helping others does that. And it also helps to find meaning in life again. You know, maybe there's a charity that you want to help with. Maybe there's somebody that needs to be, you know, called once a week in your life, that you can just pick up the phone and give them a call and say, hey, I'm here for you. What's going on? You know, just letting others feel like they're loved. Join support groups, especially with people who can relate to what you're going through. Create a healthy mental and physical routine, keeping in mind that the mental is connected to the physical. So read, write, exercise, be a part of a community. All these things are going to help. And the grand finale on my list is find things or people to believe in, right? Whatever your belief is in life, about life and death and loss and grief and sadness and fear and anxiety and all this stuff, find things to believe in, and hold them dear, you know? So love, people, spirituality, kindness, beauty, and then create a life that surrounds those beliefs. You know, I feel very lucky, and I was telling my husband this yesterday. You know, I truly feel at least once a day, and more than that usually, that I'm blessed and I'm very lucky for the life that I have. You know, so finding that gratitude for what we do have in this life, right? Gratitude, hope, but just holding close those beliefs in your life and what truly matters. You know, when I was writing down this list of things, the beliefs, the love, the spirituality, the kindness, the beauty, things that make sense to believe in. And I made myself laugh a little bit because this world that we're in puts so much importance on money. And I'm so grateful in myself that I didn't write that down. I didn't even think of it. It didn't even come to my mind. Until afterwards when I saw the list and I thought, that's interesting. But you know, you're not taking it with you. When you leave this life, right? You're not taking those possessions, those material things with you. And more often than not, they cause more problems for others after you're gone. So, what are your thoughts on grief and sadness? Please share with me. I would love to hear your thoughts. And every Friday, I have a topic on yoga, life, wellness, one of these things. And then I do this at 12:30 on Fridays. And then I post it onto YouTube. So if you have anything that you'd like to talk about related to life, wellness, yoga, please let me know. I think we all can agree that we have a lot going on in our lives, and there's a ton of stuff that we can talk about. So thank you for being here. Really appreciate it. And spread the word. Let all your friends know. And if you didn't know this already, David and I have an on-demand video channel, and you can go and check that out for very little amount of money. It's very reasonable. It is called Be Truly You, and you can find it through the karayoga.com link, and there's an on-demand library. There's over 150 videos, and if you're a part of it, you get them sent right to your email. And we have about 4 a week that we're sending right now. So you could be one of the lucky ones. No doubt. Thank you very much for being here today. For those of you who did join, and for those of you who are listening afterwards, thank you very much. Hope you have a great day.